ultimate aim is just to build a fucking good bike. My name is David Mercer, and I'm the owner and frame builder at Mimosa Bikes. I build custom steel bicycles, all sorts, from kids' bikes to big people's bikes and everything in between. I've been in love with bikes since I was a kid. I had a BMX and got very excited about BMX riding and racing back in the 80s. At the time, my BMX was a way to connect with friends, and suddenly we could get beyond the horizon, go down the street. It was all about exploring, discovering new places and discovering ourselves. Bicycles have always meant that for me. They've always been a way of getting out, of experiencing the world, feeling a part of the world. This is a concept that almost any avid, keen cyclist would agree with, that our bikes become more than just an assemblage of metal and rubber and aluminium held together with mechanics and faith. And they end up becoming some extension of ourselves. And if they aren't, they really ought to be. That's what I'd like my bikes to be. I'd like them to be with their riders every day or frequently, at least looked at, and to be a part of someone's life. My bike should evoke feelings of speed and freedom and beauty. I want them to have an old world aesthetic of quality, to kind of harken back to a time when things were made for you, when stuff had an intrinsic value. A very big reason for wanting to build with steel is purely the heritage that steel has. Steel has been the predominant primary building material for bicycles right from the very beginning. It's only in very, very recent years that other materials have really entered the fray and started rivaling steel, or in some cases superseding steel for certain purposes. But steel has this very rich history. There's a whole culture around steel, and the way that I build frames using flame and brass and building brass fillets and doing legwork is also an incredibly old world, old school way of joining steel tubes together. I love the process of it. I love the connection to history, the connection to our past, while still making things that are relevant for now and for the future. It's often been said that if steel was to have been discovered right now, it would be hailed as this incredible wonder material with the most incredibly diverse range of properties. We'd be falling over ourselves to use it. It's got soul and a life of its own that I think the other materials just don't have. Everything else feels dead or stiff in comparison, and steel really seems to be able to offer it all. And there are some trade-offs. Steel is undoubtedly heavier than some of the other building materials, but it's not the heavy behemoth that people make it out to be. You're only talking about a few hundred grams, which quite frankly in the grand scheme of things is a small price to pay. The trade-off being that wonderful springy ride that steel gives. I'm entirely self-taught. I watched countless videos, read as much as I could find online, spent a lot of time sifting through the good and the bad, and over time I managed to find a way that worked for me. It's taken me a long time to get confident with this, but at the same time I also found myself wishing that there was some sort of mentor that I could look up to, someone who I could bounce ideas off, someone who could point me in the right direction and tell me if what I was doing was correct. Where I want to be able to offer that guidance, that mentorship to up-and-coming frame builders. I feel that we have an opportunity to start a frame building industry here in the country. And the more people who are building, the more people who are exposed to it, I think it would end up legitimizing the entire business for all of us, and it would be a great service to cyclists in our country who don't even know that this is an option. I think that everyone can see or appreciate the beauty and utility in something that's been handmade with a purpose, handmade with a conscience, handmade with a soul. And the more builders there are, I think the better off we'll be. I've recently started offering frame building classes. One day I'd like this to expand into a proper frame building school. Currently it's a one-on-one frame building experience. I'd love to see this course grow into more of a school. I'd love to be able to have more frame builders come through here. And ultimately it would be amazing if Mercer Bikes could also grow into a slightly bigger business, albeit a bigger business with a whole bunch of soul. It would be great to be able to get to a point where you have apprentices who work in the business, gaining enough skill and confidence to be able to, at some point, to go out on their own, start their own businesses, or not, to stay with us, or not.